So talk to me about how this fund actually works. I know it's seed, pre-seed to stage, but how is it different from a typical venture fund?
So as far as a typical venture fund, all venture funds have some sort of goal or mission that they're trying to achieve. Ours happens to be focused on younger founders who are in high school and college and helping them to build their companies.
So you really are looking for the next Mark Zuckerberg, because you are looking for people who are really young.
Yep.
So, talk to me, Michael, a little bit about the people who are backing you, because as I understand it, it's not necessarily for returns.
Well, they are interested in this mission to find people who are working on things outside of tracked institutions. We're not against education in and of itself. We believe in learning by doing, and the types of individuals who are so committed and passionate about what they're working on that they're prepared to leave school. They tend to be really interesting, dynamic people, and so a lot of our investors are interested in talking to and working with those are the people we've funded.
And you've been working with the Thiel Fellowship since the early days. Very controversial idea. What drew you to this idea that kids should not go to school, they should start companies instead?
I've personally worked in alternative education for a long time. I worked with homeschoolers and also started a charter school that has an ethos of learning by doing. So I was personally drawn to the Thiel Fellowship because it's the same thing of learning by doing, going out there and starting something, and also making sure that young adults are not infantilized for too long is really important to me.
What kind of success have the Thiel Fellows actually had? I mean,
So
have you found this is actually a good formula?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the fellows who started companies, a lot of them are tracking very strongly now. All told, I think, I forget the exact number, but it's north of $1 billion in market cap aggregate of some of the companies started by fellows. And we're really excited to see the next wave. The tailwinds are really in our favor. We see younger people starting programming at the age of 12, and by the time we meet them, maybe they have 8 years experience. They have role models that they can copy and emulate, and so we expect to see a lot more great companies come from.
What about the times when it doesn't work out? Because obviously it doesn't work out for everyone. Has it been a waste of time? Have they learned something? These are kids, right, overcome?
So for these young people, there are a lot of opportunities for them if they start a startup and it doesn't go in the direction they want to. There are lots of opportunities, whether it be hiring, going back to school, those are two in particular, but being out there and being able to say to someone at the age of 18 or 20 years old, I've been out there, I've raised money, I've managed a team and things like that, that's a lot more experience than a lot of young people get. So I think the opportunities are still very bright for them no matter what happens.
So Peter himself is an investor in the fund, right? What has he told you about what he hopes to see, what he'd like?
I think he loves that this is an extension of the theme behind the fellowship, which is really supporting people outside of these institutions, helping them on extraordinary careers without any kind of authentication by some authority. The name of our fund, 1517, comes from the Protestant Reformation. The little inside joke there is that Martin Luther nailed his theses to a church door protesting the sale of indulgences. These were pieces of paper the church sold at great cost, telling people it was a way to save their souls. Likewise, we say that universities are selling a piece of paper called a diploma, telling people it's the only way they can save their souls. And we think it was false then, and it's false now. And I think that message and mission really resonated with Peter.
Thiel has, as we've heard, been trying to get some support in Silicon Valley, get some folks on a team to help advise President-elect Trump. Has he asked either of you? I know he's tapped some of the fellows.
Have not been asked.
What do you make of his support for Donald Trump, which, again, Peter's a very, contrarian views, as we know, and very much against the grain of the rest of Silicon Valley?
We were surprised like everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't speculate beyond Peter's public statements for reasons of support. I think it ties into a lot of the themes that he's been thinking about. So at broad economic, innovative stagnation across long periods of time. And beyond what he's said in public about shaking things up, I can't speculate.
Are you guys excited about Donald Trump, or are you nervous?
As a small L libertarian, I tend to look at different ways of reforming institutions than democratic votes, and I don't know, I'd look for other opportunities, but I hope things work out.
On that note, you are on the board of the Seasteading Institute, which I have to ask you about. So this is, the idea is they're doing research, right, to build a city or island off the coast of California where you would start over, you'd have your own new rules, new laws. It was parodied on HBO's Silicon Valley.
Right. Yep.
What's the actual progress been?
So it's not specifically to build a floating island off the coast of California. It's really about there's no more land left in this world for people to try new experiments and governance on. The idea isn't for pure anarchy, no rules. The idea is, can we try new rule sets? And so there is some good news this week. The Seasteading Institute has come to an agreement with the French Polynesian government, a memorandum of understanding that would allow for the first creation of a zone in their coastal waters for a platform where people might be able to run businesses under a different set of rules.
So do you believe it will happen, and if so, when? Like how
Absolutely.
far out
I mean,
is this?
seasteading's happening right now. The Chinese are building artificial islands in the Pacific. They don't call them seasteads, and they operate according to Chinese law. But inevitably, in the next 50 years, there will be people who build structures at sea that operate according to different rules.
So California, you think 50 years or so? It'll be off the coast of California?
I hope so, for our sake.